In today's video, we're going to be focusing on the Bitcoin price discovery phases and understanding the roadmap for the remainder of this year, 2025. So subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward, and let's dive right into it. So Bitcoin has already broken out into its first price discovery uptrend, and that uptrend lasted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 7 weeks or so before transitioning into this first price discovery correction. And this has truly been a cycle of reaccumulation ranges, and we've been seeing reaccumulation ranges form throughout the cycle since really late 2022, and we've been seeing how these ranges have evolved and developed in the post-halving period. In the pre-halving period, we saw downside wicking in the form of downside deviations below the range lows of these reaccumulation ranges, and in the post-halving period, we've seen something happen quite differently. Downside deviations still occurring, but in candle-bodied multi-week clusters of price action below the key range low levels. And these orange circles just showcase to us that these are deviations that tend to occur. Pre-halving period, we saw downside wicking. In the post-halving period, we're seeing downside deviations. But this is perhaps the first time that we're seeing a deviation occur below the range high. So this is the key level to actually break beyond and transition into a new uptrend. So when we're looking at price discovery uptrend number 1, you can see that this breakout was quite forceful. We saw trend acceleration towards the upside without really not stopping on the way to new all-time highs. But the same thing occurred really in the pre-halving period as well. Over here, for example, we never really had to dip. We never really had to pull back substantially, maybe until that final corrective period, which would last multiple months. But each reaccumulation range would see quite a bit of upside, and that upside would be very quick and no real post-breakout retesting, no real pausing. And what we're seeing here is something very, very different. So we're actually seeing a potential downside deviation below the range high resistance. So in the short term, maybe we could still see a bit of that downside deviation. But right now, the key level to reclaim is $104,400. That's the level to reclaim as a support. We held this level for 7 full weeks in total. That was holding as a support. We actually weekly closed below that level very recently, but actually we're trying to break back above this level once again. And the key thing is that this level shouldn't turn into a resistance like we saw in the past few weeks. We were seeing loads of upside wicks, but here we're actually seeing a candle body for the first time. And it's really important that this is a candle body that solidifies itself above here, because that would then transition price maybe into another pullback into 104,400 to turn that level into support once again. And then that successful retest here would really start to build the base and build on this base that we've already seen develop here to then transition price into that next uptrend. So maybe some downside deviation, volatile retests here perhaps going forward, but this is all in an effort to try and build that base for the next multi-week uptrend in price discovery. And if we talk about price discovery uptrend number 1, just notice how I effectively copy pasted that here for our roadmap, just to better understand how long this price discovery uptrend could take place. So this is the first time that we're actually seeing a transitional period, because before here, this transitional period wasn't it was actually very explosive and very short. Here we're seeing a transitional period that's actually lasting quite a few weeks in a very similar fashion to how these downside deviations have behaved. Multiple weeks of clustering below a range low. Here, are we seeing clustering below the range high? Is it going to take a little bit longer here? This is all Bitcoin's way of trying to break beyond the range high resistance, turn it into support, and act it as a springboard into the next uptrend. And we've seen successful holding here for almost 7 weeks. Bitcoin is trying to continue to build on that to reclaim this level as a support, and doing that successfully would see it actually transition into that next uptrend. But what comes after that uptrend? It depends on when that uptrend happens, because the longer that this takes, you could argue that maybe we'll see an extended cycle, maybe we'll see prolonging in this phase, and as a result it's going to push the cycle or the bull market peak into the deeper stages and phases of 2025. But if we do break out here, and once we've confirmed that breakout, then multiple weeks of upside should emerge from that. But we're not quite ready to transition out of this transitional period. Once we've transitioned out of here, then upside should be enjoyed until that next corrective phase, which would be effectively price discovery correction number 2. But it all really depends on timing. Does this cycle still have time for a price discovery correction, or are we actually going to get a bear market instead? Historically speaking, we've actually seen at least 1, 2, and maybe even 3 up to 4 price discovery corrections, but really depends on how long this transitional period takes place. This was a very long price discovery corrective period overall, so it's going to be really important for price to finally confirm its breakout. And once it's done that, we're going to have a bit of time to enjoy that upside into new all-time highs. And once this uptrend has occurred, then probably we're going to see some sort of pullback, but hopefully it's not going to be a long one like this. It's really important that we actually see a short price discovery corrective period, and this is probably going to see a pullback of 20-30% in the same vein that we saw here. 30% pullback right over here. That was a 33% pullback. In fact, this was a 32% pullback. And back here, for example, we saw 23-25% pullbacks. Here we saw 23% pullbacks as well, 20% pullback also. So these pullbacks are actually getting deeper and also longer in terms of time as well. So in this price discovery corrective period, we'll probably see something in the range of 25%, 30, 32, 33%, but hopefully it's not going to take as long as this sort of pullback, because if it does take a lot of time, then that might actually mean that we don't get price discovery uptrend number 3, but maybe we might be transitioning into more of a bear market region. So really important when this next uptrend begins. The sooner the better, because the sooner it happens, the more likely we have this sort of price discovery correction still left ahead. And as a result, if we see a short price discovery correction, then maybe we have also another price discovery uptrend laying ahead as well. So that being said, that's about it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Like this video if you enjoy content like this going forward. I'm Rekt Capital, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Speak to you soon.